Hey, this is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to Station Square. Hope everyone is having a relatively nice new year. I know it just started, and I have just am starting to get back into the flow, swing of everything. But regardless, I just want to wish you all a happy new year regardless. I know that last year was kind of like, it it was kind of, it was kind of like a mix of good and bad, but that's kind of the same as like every year, to be honest. So today we're gonna be just chilling and just talking about whatever comes to mind. Like I have somebody who had recently just started YouTube, but I found their discussions on so many different topics fascinating and so insightful that I just had to bring him on the show. So, um, I'm just gonna, it also gives is a nice opportunity to just say, check out his channel. He's done a lot of good work. So, I just wanted to bring on Mr. Jake King, who has been doing a lot of videos about like, life or just anything in general, just to give like a nice little quick change of pace on, because I usually do interviews with actors and, musicians and all that stuff, but we're just gonna probably get like, just discuss anything, which is a nice change of pace. So it's not really something that I often do here for the show, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll just get some great discussion out of this. So thank you, Jake, for joining me on this lovely afternoon.
Thank you for inviting me, Robert. Hello, everyone. It's a nice change of pace. It's a new year. It's a new goal, new thing, new change. So gotta have some variety in the new year. So thank you for inviting me. This is my first podcast, and I can only suspect it's the best start. So let's get right into it. What do you got for
Yep,
me?
yep, of course. So I guess before we get to the main questions, I kind of wanted to ask you in particular, like, if you were to describe like how was last year for you, and
Hmm,
yeah,
that's a
just
good
get that
one.
conversation going.
Last year, last year was my most. I learned the absolute most last year. It was packed with education from all different sources because it's not just school, but it's from everything else that I've done. I learned way more lessons than ever before. It was crazy. It was super impactful because I it was the first year that I really lost people in my family. I did before once when I was 6 or 7, so I didn't really register it then. But now I'm older, I'm intelligent, so that was a big lesson. And then I tried and did a lot of different things, learning about myself. It was just the absolute best year for lessons in education. I think that was my best year yet, and I cannot wait for this one because I set up everything last year, set up this stuff, the channel. I set up all my habits, my knowledge now. It's just grown into a thing where next year I it's just going to be the best year. I could feel it. And last year was the starting point. So I could never be thankful enough for last year. It was the best. What about you, Robert? What would you say about last year?
Yeah, it was definitely like I was mentioning before, it was the best of times, and it was the rough. It was, I don't know how to describe it because it's kind of like, because I do work as an actor and writer, so kind of dipping my toes into the industry. So it's kind of like a lot of really great opportunities, like so many doors opened. And it was also a time where like it was some of the slowest that I've ever had, but during those times I was just like, you know what? Maybe I should make create stuff, just make these projects, work with other actors, work with editors, musicians, and just really collaborating with folks, which is essentially what I'm also doing with the podcast, where I'm just like, you know, there's like a wider audience to reach out to, and I really love getting to chat with people and just hearing about their journey, experiences, and just all of that in between. So I want to say that last year in general was pretty okay-ish for the most part. Like some good, some bad, but you know what? I have to say the positives definitely outweigh the negative, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, they always do. And even with the negatives, we learn from that stuff and we understand ourselves better because of all the negative things. So we can move into the next year, the next day, we can move into any of the next moments knowing ourselves better, knowing what to do more and just living a better life. So even with all the negatives, there's still a positive in the fact that they're negative.
Oh yeah, definitely. So that's pretty much how I would describe last year in a nutshell. I know it's totally gonna be different for everyone, which is, that let's be honest, everyone's totally wired differently,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, everybody's unique in their own way. So everybody's got to have a certain journey with certain mistakes, certain successes. But as long as you look at it the right way, because everybody has, I'd say everybody can follow certain paths as basic human nature gives us some principles that would be able to be followed by everyone. So as long as you learn from your mistakes, which everybody can do, then your journey's unique and you're the best at it. So what's there to complain about?
Exactly. See, you get me. Yeah, I mean, we kind of both see eye to eye in a lot of things, so this is gonna be pretty interesting. Um,
Oh yeah.
So let's see here. I know that last year has kind of proven it was a lot. It was really challenging too, especially when it comes to like, strikes, AI, and all of that mumbo
Oh
jumbo
yeah.
that I mentioned in, previous episodes. So I'm not
Up
gonna
to
go.
that
That's
here.
probably not gonna be something I'm gonna focus on here. But yeah, let's just say that 2023 was wild. That's all I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah.
say about it.
Well,
Yeah,
it was a weird one. I didn't
it
expect
was really
AI
weird.
and all
Yeah.
that stuff. I thought that was far in the future. I thought we
Mm.
had to wait for that stuff.
Oh, we
But
all
no,
did,
nope.
man.
It was a pretty cool year. It was a pretty cool year. Science fiction like and just good all around.
Yeah. So I guess we could just get on to the questions now.
Sure.
So I guess my first one to you is, let's see. How would you describe like if we were to go back to when you were a kid, like when you were really, really young, like, because I'm the type of person that's like, oh, wow. So, I like learning about, different, backgrounds and history and, all that stuff. So how would you describe like, the younger years and childhood, and how would you describe
I love
everything from like way back when you were young?
that. I always think of that stuff. It occurs to me all the time. So I love that you asked that one. So in my early years, well, it's funny. In For 14 years of my life, my first 14 years, I lived in the same house, the same neighborhood, had the same kind of structure to stuff. And that happens to be one of my most important things. I'll get back to that in a moment. But in this area, I lived here for 14 years, and it's it's a diverse area. So from an early age, I pretty much was subjected to like a bunch of different cultures, prominently Indian culture, and for that, it just gave me an experience that it's unmatched. I love Indian culture, and I love all cultures, but my early years, I was very much introduced to that stuff, so it was a great experience. And then in school, I had a lot of friends that were from it was all diversity and it was a great learning experience, great friends, great people. So in my younger years, I would say that to describe it, it was just diverse. I had all these different people, all these different places, all these different cultures, and I got to absorb it all. Compared to other places in my city where it would be predominantly certain races in a certain area. So like if you lived over there, you'd only get the kind of like white people experience or maybe the only black people experience. Mine was diverse. I lived in the diversity area. So I'm grateful for that in my younger years. Funny enough, you never think you'd say it, but I'm grateful for diversity. And then to describe my childhood in a way that like the way I think about it every day, because it always comes back to me, is just thinking, what was I before? And I always come back to the same piece of me when I was like 12, when COVID hit. And I don't I don't know why. I don't know. Well, it might be something to do with the way I spent my time. But around the time I was 12, that's when my childhood kind of took off and launched me into manhood, I guess you'd say. And that is like the pinnacle moment. It's the moment. So if I were to look back at my childhood, it's filled with diversity, with learning, with all this different rich stuff. And then it is a pinnacle moment that I always come back to and study just to see, where did I come from? Who can I be? Why am I this person? All that stuff. If I were to go back there, it's always like that. Does that make sense?
No, 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 totally. Because for me, when it comes to remembering, childhood and everything, I always kind of think back to like, oh wow, I was that weird hyperactive kid who wanted
Yep.
to just, I don't know, just express myself, you know? So it
Yep.
was just kind of like, oh, I just dabble into a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I don't know, it's kind of like the neurodivergence in me that was just kind of like, you know what? It's just screaming at me, just saying, you know, maybe I should write, I should act, I should do like that Hollywood thing where it's like, you sing, dance, and act, the triple threats.
Yep.
And so I was so enamored by it as a kid. And yeah, that's, I'm carrying over these talents even to this very day. Like I'm just getting my name
Yep.
out there, which by the way might seem really scary, especially if you're somebody who's like kind of introverted. But you know what, over time I just kind of grew more comfortable with it, and it also really
In
helped me.
repetition, yeah.
Yeah. um you know Getting, I don't want to say get noticed, but it's more like really start making friends and meeting a lot of these people that pretty much most of the guests that I've even had on the show I never thought in a million years that I would even talk to. But you know what?
Hmm.
It just, like I mentioned earlier, like it opens doors. You don't know what you're gonna do or get yourself in. Like if it's something that you just started dabbling into, like, doors open, doors close. Such is
Yep,
life.
exactly. And that's kind of the same with my diversity thing, because it gave me a look into so many people's lives, so many people's cultures. It's not like it was the exact same situation, but it's about the eye opening of it. You take a look at what is the root or the one of the most important factors of your childhood, and that can just branch into so many different things. And I think that's part of the reason I make the stuff I make, because I see all the people and I learned how to analyze culture and people and how to live, knowing this and this about all these different people. So now I know how to kind of read the situation. I know how to deal with things. It translated. Where and with you, it was the same thing. It led you towards translating into acting and doing the whole, like, the podcasts and all that, and getting linked in with those people. It always translates roughly. Whatever we have at childhood, it always translates into something further on. It's a really funny concept.
Yeah, tell me about it. So I guess it segues into my next question, which was, so with all of that in mind, was any of this kind of like, did this all like, were it sort of like, the building, like the domino effect, or was it like sort of like the building blocks of you starting up a YouTube
Mm.
channel and posting content? Like, did it all lead up to you, starting, getting your name out there in a way, with YouTube?
Kind of, actually, yeah. Because, well, one of the most important parts of that part, I guess you could say, was when you'd see people from different places and from different backgrounds, and you'd see the diversity. You'd make friends with all these different people. It really humbled me. It humbles everyone, because I live in Canada. It's more secure here, it's more balanced here than other places. And if I were to talk to people in from Mexico per se, I have a lot of friends from Mexico, and they always tell me that I could get a job or get a career in a certain place because they see that expertise in me, and they think that that's something to be super grateful about, and it really is. So part of the building blocks as to why I chose this route was because people from less fortunate backgrounds and less fortunate places have told me about what I could do and what I'm gifted in and how I should be grateful and seize the opportunity. And that is just that just launched me right into it because I'll always it always makes you think they have the exact same capabilities, the exact same gifts. Well, not the exact same, but they have a gift. They have a same level gift. They have a same level capability, a special thing that makes them special, but they never got to use it. And I saw so many people like that from so many different places, even in my family. My family's not like rich, right? So what I saw many people in my family in the same way. They lose their gift because we're not always fortunate enough to seize it. So speaking with those people and acting on the diversity, thinking about it, it just really helped me seize the opportunity and pushed me into helping other people because I didn't want to see people who would lose that opportunity or wouldn't be able to seize it. And I wanted to seize mine. So I intertwined them at the same time. And now I seize my opportunity and help people others see, I help other people seize theirs. So it really worked out, I'd say. My childhood was like a direct reflection of it, being that everybody told me and everybody always pushed me to be the best. And they always used them as an example, saying you can't be ungrateful. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. You have none of it. You have all the good stuff. You must be grateful. And for that, I was. I took the opportunity and I got after it.
Yeah, right on, man. And who do you consider to be an inspiration in your life? Or if I were to frame it as like something like, um, it could be, people that you know personally, IRL, but do you also have like any, like, it could be a piece of media as well, book, movie, or just anything like you just want to throw out there, but inspirations in general.
Mhm. Well, actually, it's funny. I draw inspir because it depends, but for different things, I draw inspiration from different sources. I like to think that you can draw from anything and anywhere. And I like to draw from everybody and everything because you can learn from literally anything and literally anybody. Everybody's got something to give you, and you've got something to give them. Just by even studying them, just by watching them, you can talk to them or you cannot talk to them, but either way it goes, you're still able to learn something. And for that, I take inspiration from everything. But if I were to choose a couple of my top ones, like the very top, I'd have to say I'm constantly inspired by family and friends, specifically because they're the ones who push me to do better and to be more. Because if I'm not more, then how am I going to help them? And if I can't help them, how am I going to live with myself? So just the mere fact of doing that, of having them there, pushes me to do that stuff. And they also inspire me in other ways. I won't say that that's not true, but for what it is, I'd say that my biggest inspiration is family and friends because they are the ones who matter the most. And if I can help them in any way possible, I will. So I need that fire. I need to be able to get after something. So they inspire me the most. And then one other one is any person, any character, anything that tries to defy odds. Because that it's just those two. Because I need to be inspired to get after something, but I need to know how to get after it. And you need to defy odds to get after something. So I look at people who do crazy stuff. And this could be people in real life, people in books, people in shows and games even. People who take a situation that is almost stacked completely against them, and they still pull it off. And then they still stay positive about it, even in the worst times. I know people like this. I've seen people like this. They are the most, like, they're the best, the absolute best. Because what else are you going to do? I just made a video about that one, how you can't be negative. You have to be positive. And it's it's just completely like that. You have to defy the odds. You have to defy them. You have to be positive. There's no other way. So people like that, David Goggins is the first one that comes to mind. People like that guy, biggest inspiration, and my family and friends.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I do have a lot of inspirations. Like, I always say that each guest, including yourself, is an inspiration, which is kind of a cop-out answer, but it's so true. Like,
It
we
is.
all find inspiration in everything, anyone. It doesn't matter where or what, like in general. Like,
Hmm.
um, we just find it like anywhere, even when we least expect it.
Yeah. As long as you are willing to learn, you can find it from anything, anything and everything.
Oh yeah, totally. So when you're doing your YouTube channel, like with your videos and whatnot, I was kind of curious about like how the whole process goes when it comes to making, videos for your channel. Like, do you brainstorm these or are they just kind of more like essentially what I do for my podcast, where it's just kind of more like off the cuff, just go with the flow type of thing?
That's a good one because for it's got a little story to it. When I started, it was very much about brainstorming because I looked at the big people in this and I looked at how they operated and what they did, and I said, okay, let's do this strategically. I should make a video on this, this, and this because they made a video on this, this, and this, and it was good. So I'm going to give my opinion on those three things. And for that, it was like a brainstorm because I'd look at it and I'd say, that's it right there. That's the one. So I'd get after it. And this was mostly in the early stages because now I don't do it as much. But in the early stages, I'd look at it, I'd make a plan roughly, and I'd get after it. And the plan would usually be I take down a notepad and I jot down my general ideas and my general opinions and all that. And then I just make it happen and I don't worry too much. I don't worry at all really because it's what I'm going to provide and I'm not trying to set a bar or reach it even. So as long as I provide the low bar that I actually do have, I won't say there isn't a bar. There's a low bar I do have, which is just Jake talking. As long as I can provide that, that's it. I don't want to edit. I don't want to think it through too much. I don't want it to be like pure facts. I want it to be like a human conversation. So for that, I never worried too much and I just got after it. But the problem there is that those were kind of lacking. Those videos were kind of lacking because it was me talking about a topic that didn't come to me. It was just shown to me. I looked at someone, they did it, and yeah, it's a good topic, but I didn't come up with that. I didn't feel I needed to talk about it. And I took much time trying to figure out why I felt weird about those videos. And eventually I came to the conclusion that they're not what I want to talk about. They're not what I need to talk about. So recently I've started switching up. And what I do is I just think throughout the day. I'm actively learning. I actively listen. And then when something comes to me, I write it down. A lesson, maybe I'm talking with someone, they share a lesson that they've learned, and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. We write that one down. We give it some thought, how this affected me. And that's still kind of like the first process where it's like it was shown to me, but either way it goes, it requires you to listen more and to think more than watching a video someone else made and saying, okay, I'm going to basically do the same thing, but highlight my opinions. It's a different process, but actively learning throughout the day, actively listening, you jot down your notes, you say, this is the topic, and then you write down what your opinion is, it's still the same process essentially. You write down your opinion, your thoughts, all that stuff, and then boom, same thing. You make a video, don't even worry. Don't even worry. But I find the best way to make those is just listen and learn and live. Don't look. Don't look for videos. Live and then let them come to you. Oftentimes, before I go to sleep, even that's for I don't know why. I don't know why, but I do a little self-reflection at the end of the day, and apparently my videos are best brought to me when I do self-reflection, which kind of makes sense, but it keeps me up at night, man, because I'll sit there and in my self-reflection, I'll think and like a video will come up. Oh, I'll jot it down, go back to sleep. 5 minutes, oh, another, and then I gotta wake up again. Not wake up, but I gotta get up from me trying to go to sleep and jot down another. I go back 5 minutes again, and there's another. So I have like a notepad that's just filled with them from like 12 or like 10 to 12 at night, depending on when I go to sleep. And it's hilarious, but still, point is self-reflection and active learning is where the best lessons and the best videos come out. That's the only thing that's the only thing I'll do now. I won't be taking other people's videos unless it's like a unless it's good enough, but I haven't found that yet. So for now, self-reflection and active learning is the best.
Oh yeah. And how is your uploading schedule? Like, I'm also kind of curious about that too.
Mm. Yeah, I have to say I'm not the best at it always. It it depends on what it is at the time that's going on, because sometimes I'll have certain things going on in the family and I can't make videos, or I could, but I don't feel like they're quality enough because I very much base it off of, does this feel like it's the right kind of video and the right kind of vibe? And I know it's a little silly because we think as long as you get a video out there, then you should be fine. But I disagree. I think if it's up to your standards, that's it. Like I said, the very low bar that I have, because my bar is pretty low, but I don't want to go under it no matter what. I need to reach the bar or go higher. And it just needs to be a video that I can say it has a good vibe, has a good lesson. I think this is the one. It talks about everything we need to talk about. That's it. But if I can't make that video, I won't upload it. I'd rather skip an upload day. So my schedule is a little wonky, but I've been trying to fix this recently by making a bunch of good videos in a day, or what, like as many as I can, because I won't set like I'm gonna make seven. I'm just gonna keep making them until I run out of time, or I don't feel like they're good enough. And so I make these videos, and then I post them roughly at 12, and that's the schedule I think is best. But it isn't an every day at 12, 100% of the time. It's more like it's gonna be that 70% of the time ish.
Yeah. And do you often like record multiple videos at a time and like schedule them roughly at 12? Like just make one sitting and talk about different topics and then space out the videos as their own separate, you know, um, content to watch. Like record multiple videos at once and then schedule them in different, you know, days at 12, just out of
Yeah.
curiosity.
What I do usually is I'll take one topic, and as I said, I do the same process. You jot down your ideas, your opinions, all the things you're going to talk about, and then you get after it. You make a video that covers it all. Good. That's one. And then, depending on how I feel, depending on how much time is left, I'll do the exact same process for a different topic, and then I'll schedule that one for the next day, and so on and so forth. We'll do the next day, the next day, the next day, until I run out of time or I don't feel like the videos are hitting the bar. Because there is a mental capacity, I'll say, to my standard. Because my standard, I want to make it a very human conversation. I don't want it to be like a highly edited, like here's your 5 fun facts. I tried that before, like here's the top 3 best methods. Like I don't love that. I don't love that. I could see why people make them, but I don't think I want to do that. So my capacity, is different from that of the of other YouTubers, I guess you'd say. So I just go until I'm done with time or done with energy, and then I schedule them for roughly 12 a.m. or p.m. Yeah, p.m. So lunchtime, and then yeah, that's just my best results. I've tried other times, but 12 seems to be the sweet spot.
Totally. And yeah, because when it comes to uploading, like planning out the videos to make sure that they're uploaded, I mean, it's really nice oh, because I don't know how the algorithm works. I'm still trying to learn this process, but normally it's the afternoon that seems to be the sweet spot for a multitude of content that you put out there, essentially. Um, and I do have plenty more questions to ask, which I'm gonna save for part two. But if y'all enjoyed this so far, share, like, this YouTube mumbo jumbo, and until then, hope y'all are enjoying this, and I'll see y'all in part two. Take care.